That is an excellent question. So where the hell is all the ammunition? Is the government taking this? Is it being stored somewhere? Is it just being thrown away? What the hell is going on? Why can we not get ammunition? Well, the best place to start this tale is from the beginning. Now this won't be 100% accurate and it's just a broad stroke. Things will be different in different areas, but from what I was seeing in my area, this will be how it all played out. So, let's start the tale from the beginning. To the whiteboard of knowledge. The first wave. What was the first wave? That was when this whole coronavirus started getting talked about. Most of the people that did the buying in the first wave, they've been prepared since the Obama administration. But they're like, hey, things are looking kind of rough. It's election time. Maybe I should buy the ammunition I'm going to need for the next 12 months. Just in case the prices break off, I won't be in a pinch to try to get ammo or have to go back to the reloading die. It pretty much hit when the tax money hit. When everybody got their tax returns, they basically bought up the surplus. That was the surplus of firearms, that was the surplus of ammunition, that's when the deal stopped. That's when you no longer seen, AR-15s for $3.99. At this point in time, I was literally telling people, by the end of the election, things will be back to normal. Don't sweat too much. Now we got the second wave. What is the second wave? That's with the stimulus checks. That's where the FUDs start getting AR-15s. Now, I don't have anything against people that are labeled as FUDs or anything like that, but typically they don't mess around with AR-15s. They don't mess around with semi-automatic 9mm pistols, but they're starting to see, quarantines happening at this point. We got our stimulus check, and they're like, yes, my hunting rifle has served me well. Bolt actions are awesome. My double barrel 12 gauge is good to go. But what if? Things just have never been like this before and it's kind of scaring me. What if? So that's when they started buying up semi-automatic 9mm, AR-15s. That's when they cleared off the shelves. Now there was still firearms on the shelf, but nothing at all that anybody with any stretch of the imagination would call a tactical firearm. Something that, like, a Beretta 92, AR-15, your CZ pistols, Glocks. That's the end of those. And at this point, I'm telling people, about 12 months from now, things should return back to normal. You should start to see normal inventory returning. You'll start to see the ammo coming back. There's still ammo, but now we're getting into the higher priced places. People that are charging a little bit too much. It's not crazy yet, but it's still, more than it should be charged. I'm like, well, 12 months from now, things will probably be back to normal. We'll have normal ammo. We probably won't have a surplus again for a little bit, but it'll get there. Just be patient. Then the third wave hits. What is the third wave? Because this really matters. The third wave was caused by the riots. Basically, that's when your housewives, people that would never touch guns, they do the carpooling for the school, they're a part of a book club, they do crocheting, really old ladies, really old gentlemen. That's when they're like, holy crap. I never thought that I would have a problem with this stuff because I avoid dangerous situations. I don't want to be around gangsters, so I don't go into the inner city. I keep my peace, nobody bothers me. But now these rioters are showing up in town, stopping traffic. They could show up in my town next. It's very possible. There's no reason they can't. This is July. This is when people started cashing out their slush funds that would normally be spent on mistresses or exotic jewelry. And now they're buying up what's left on the shelf. It went from like, they'd come into the store and basically be like, hey, do you have any AR-15s, 9mm pistols? And I'm like, no. They're like, well, piss on it. Give me the bolt action 30-06 and the pump action 12 gauge and camouflage. This is when the inventory really got knocked down. And at this point, I'm like, it's going to be like 2 years before things are back to normal. How people are buying right now, the amount that they're buying, we're going to be in a pinch for getting ammunition and firearms for quite some time. I'm guesstimating 24 months. You know, and that's just a guesstimate. It might be next month, I highly doubt it, and it might be 5 years. You know, who knows? But I was guesstimating around that time period. About 24 months, things should return back to normal. Now, what they did is they took care of back orders. So, we got surplus, the tactical guns off the shelf. Now they're like, okay, I still need one. Can I put it on back order? So they put it on back order, and that's plugging up the back order process. Because normally it'll go, you got your surplus, your normal inventory, now the back order stuff is getting bought. So basically we're selling firearms that are not even at the shop yet. They're buying them in advance. Then the fourth wave. This is what I call the realization. That's when things set in to people like me, to people like you, anyone at all interested in firearms. Things may never be the same again. The craziness that's going on, I don't know how far it's going to reach, but the implications out there, we're taking a turn for the worst. And now people that would never, ever, ever consider buying a firearm, like people are coming into the store full-on leftists, like communist sympathizer. They think guns are evil, only police should have guns. That's, a lot of it's coming from the whole defund the police movement. They're coming in, they're like, I have kids, I have family. I would just be absolutely heartbroken because they're making victims out of people that even support them. If I seen my kid getting drug out in the front yard and beat to death with a baseball bat, or if I was, just driving down the interstate and all of a sudden a group of people came out, they drugged me out of the car and beat me with a brick to death. I don't want to be a victim. If a situation comes like that, I want some options. Can you get me into a firearm? What's available? I don't really care. I want something that goes bang, and I need you to show me how to use it. This is taking your single-action armies, your revolvers, all your semi-automatic 22s. That's where all that went. But that still really doesn't answer the question. We literally have facilities, multiple facilities, manufacturing ammunition. So why is ammunition not available? What's going on? Where is it? There should be no reason why they can't just ramp up production and get ammunition in. Now this part is hearsay. I don't know this for a fact, but this is what I was told. And not even from a source I would consider reliable. So basically how the ammunition factories work is they're like, okay, we have this many machines, well, we're going to make just an arbitrary number here. We're going to be like, we got 5 machines that can make ammunition. Because we only have 5 machines and there's hundreds of styles of ammunition, we'll tool these 5 machines for a certain caliber or a certain millimeter, and we'll do a run. That run might be measured in, a time period. It might be measured in a quantity. So they do this run on the ammunition. It hits the semis. The people that are the good customers are going to get served first. So your big box stores, your heavy consumers, your distributors, they're going to get the ammunition in first. They fill up that semi, they switch over to some other caliber, that semi goes out. Even before it arrives at that place, they're trying to double and triple their order. So what kind of ammunition consumption are we looking at? Just the month of July. Now I'm only taking a single month because a lot of these people that didn't have firearms before bought multiple firearms. Anywhere from 2 to 4. The average I'm going to call 2. Now that's in my area. It might be different in different areas. So that's why I'm just taking the month of July, because then the other months will consume, the people that bought 3, 4, and 2 firearms. So there's very, very few customers that came in and bought a single firearm. I suspect that's, one for them, one for their spouse, one for them, one for their oldest child, something like that. So on average, what I was seeing were people were coming in buying 2 firearms. Some a lot more, but on average we'll call it 2. So we're just going to take the gun sales in the month of July. There was 1.5 million background checks done. So we're just going to pretend that there was 1.5 million new people. On average, they bought 2 firearms, so you need to take 1.5 million times 2. Now, how much ammo should they buy? I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase YouTube certified before, but that's actually a real thing. A lot of people go to YouTube for information. So if I type in, how much ammo do I need? The first 5 videos that pop up are these right here. So how much ammo does it say that you should need? 4 out of the 5 of these very first videos, and I highly doubt somebody's going to do more than 5 videos worth of research, say a minimum of 1,000 rounds of ammunition is what you absolutely need. You'd be a fool to have any less. There's only one video that says the bare minimum should be 500. Everybody else, 1,000 per firearm. So, we got 1.5 million people that bought 2 firearms that are all trying to buy 1,000 rounds of ammunition for those 2 firearms. That's 3 billion rounds. Billion with a B rounds of ammunition that people are trying to buy right now. And that's on the low side. And now videos are coming out even now like buy anything you can. There was even this one creator giving some of the worst advice ever. What he said to do is buy all ammunition. Even if you don't have that caliber, you might be able to use the ammunition to barter for. That is terrible advice, because if there is ammunition still on the shelf right now, that means that particular caliber is a caliber that most people reload for. Otherwise it would be bought out. So now, I'm going to go buy, we'll say 500 Smith & Wesson, because it's on the shelf and it's available. And I'm following this creator's advice, and I'm just buying ammunition just to buy it, hopefully in the future to be able to trade it for a caliber that I can actually use. So I go and buy this box of 500 Smith & Wesson. Do you know the statistical probability I'm going to run into somebody with a 500 Smith & Wesson that wants that ammunition is so incredibly low. Now, the statistical probability that I'm going to run into somebody that has a 500 Smith & Wesson, that needs 500 Smith & Wesson ammunition, that doesn't reload for 500 Smith & Wesson, and they also have ammunition that I need, which obviously it's going to be a common caliber like 223 or 9mm, maybe 12 gauge. We're talking about like a probability of getting struck by lightning like 4 times. It's just not going to happen. So now you've taken this box of 500 Smith & Wesson and you put it in your pocket. So now when the next person comes in, he's going to look, there's going to be a little blank spot where 500 Smith & Wesson is going to be, which is going to put in his mind that this crisis is even far worse than he even thought, because these calibers that sell maybe once every 3 or 4 years are gone now. So he's going to buy crap that he doesn't really need ammunition for. Now your 500 Smith & Wesson guy comes in, he's like, oh wow, there's no 500 Smith & Wesson. So he's going to buy up all the rest of the ammo for any caliber he's got. Basically, it's going to create a snowball effect, and it's going to make the ammo shortage bigger. Because to get to the point where we have surplus again, where they can start cutting deals, where you can start getting deals on a brick, they need to get all the rest of the calibers back up to par. That's the only way we're ever going to get surplus again. So now they need to manufacture 500 Smith & Wesson, even though it's just sitting in your basement, it's going to sit in there forever until one day your grandkids come to clean out your house because you died, and they're going to be like, whoa dude, look at this caliber, that's so cool looking. That's the only use it's ever going to get. Or you're going to sell it back to the gun shop in about 5 years after the panic's done. And it's just going to snowball. Do not go in there and buy calibers you have absolutely no use for. You're not helping anyone at all. So anyway, the 1,000 round thing, I get that. At the first 2 waves, when you could still get, AR-15s and reasonably priced ones, because it wasn't until wave 3 where you couldn't even get the really expensive, like $1,500, $2,000 AR-15s. The customer would buy an AR and I'd be like, oh, here's a link to whatever website I found. We got ammo in the store, but it's more for when people purchase a gun, so they're not buying a firearm without any ammunition to shoot, because that just doesn't make any sense. I'd be like, here's a link to a website, or go to this website and order 1,000 rounds. You'll thank me later. If you can afford it, order 2,000 rounds. That will be enough ammunition to get you proficient on the firearm and still have like 200 or 300 rounds left over. and you'll know what you're doing at that point. And if you get 2,000 rounds, well, now you can really start practicing. And avoid mag dumps because that's just a waste of money. Make sure every time you pull the trigger, you're learning a lesson. And 1,000 rounds will get you proficient, and you'll have a little bit of ammo left over. Get 2,000 rounds, you'll be proficient, and you'll have a lot of ammunition left over. So like, I get the 1,000 round thing. That makes sense. But because of all of this, how this perfect shitstorm was created, it's just mind-blowing. Like, all my survival, end-of-the-world videos, I never considered the possibility of something like this. Like, in my mind, the shitstorm, end-of-the-world, survival videos, there was always a mass casualty. And because, like, absolutely no one died from the whole Boogaflu, and very few people died from the riots. No, I'm not, like, talking down on it. Like, it's really sad that people died. It really is. But it wasn't what I had imagined in my head. I didn't imagine the slow corrosion where Joe Blow average that normally was never into buying firearms would buy up ammunition. So I learned a lesson from all this. You need to diversify your calibers. You need to have multiple calibers. Before, I used to be convinced, just utterly convinced, if the shit ever hit the fan, the only thing you would need is 12 gauge, 223, and 9mm. You're covered in every single firearm. You got every firearm in your house standardized to those calibers. If it gets really that bad, we're going to be in combat, and you can just get that ammo off the other people, because the statistical probability they're going to have 223, 9mm, or 12 gauge on them is very, very high. You get something weird like an AK or a 308 or something like that, the statistical probability that they're going to have that ammo on them, it's not very likely. But now that this whole Boogaflu thing hit, and the shit hits the fan happened in this style, now it's like, okay, I should probably have a 38 special, a 45. 40 cal was actually the excellent pistol to buy. You could go anywhere and get 40 cal. You can still get 40 cal right now, because so many people thumb their nose at that caliber, because 40 cal was insanely popular. Then the FBI testing came out, and all of a sudden everybody shunned it. So there's ample ammunition and ample firearms out there. So if you got a 40 cal right now, you're in heaven. Your 6.8 SPCs, your 308s, 30-30s, stuff like that, like, okay, now I can kind of see where they would come in handy. Would I make my whole shit hits the fan plan based around those calibers? No, not at all. It's still based around the three calibers, 223, 9mm, and 12 gauge. But having those extra calibers, if we enter into the Great Depression, which it's really starting to look like it's going to happen, I can see things fraying around the edges. We don't know it yet, but it's pretty bad out there. If we actually do go into the Great Depression, these other calibers would be nice. Because if I have a gun for it and I happen to come across some ammunition, I can buy it. But anyway, I hope this helped explain, how come we can't get ammo. It's because it's so back-ordered. And remember, out of these 1.5 million people, and that I believe that's a conservative estimate, that are brand new into firearms, that are trying to get 1,000 rounds for each one of their firearms, a lot of them haven't got it yet. And now that we're seeing how bad the ammunition's going, we're like, well, I got ammo for a year now. But what about next year? Are things going to get worse? Should I buy more? So now 1.5 million turns into something more like 10 million people trying to pick up 1,000 rounds. It's going to be a very, very long time before we have a surplus again. I guess the moral of the story is, even if the ammunition's a little bit high priced, I'd probably buy it right now, because the future isn't looking very promising for supplies. But anyway, I hope this video helped you out a little bit. If you'd like to check out any of my other videos, you can click on the links up here. If you'd like to help support the channel, got my Patreon. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Even if you don't buy what the link is for, just clicking on that link and buying the shit you were going to buy off Amazon anyway, I had a little kickback for it because you went there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.